More trouble brewing for organizers of Tokyo Olympics 2020, 6 days before the Games open. First case of COVID-19 has been detected in the Tokyo Olympic Village. Tokyo 2020 CEO Toshiro Muto confirmed that a visitor from overseas who was involved in organizing games had tested positive. However, he didn't reveal the name, nationality or any other detail about him, citing privacy concerns. The Olympics will take place without spectators in Tokyo as coronavirus forced Japan to declare a state of emergency in the capital. Earlier on Thursday, International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach has said that there was zero risk of games participants infecting Japanese residents with COVID-19. Tokyo is under a state of emergency for the duration of the event, and organizers have imposed strict testing and limits on delegates' activities to try and soothe the concern for the Japanese public. Boria Majumdar is now joining us for the latest on this. Boria, it's a case of concern with the first case of COVID being detected in the Olympics Village, and here the big question arising is, of course, on sport to be able to go on with all the bio bubbles in place. Is this a reason to worry? Because I'm sure the organizers did account for one of such case to even take place in the first place.
Absolutely. In fact, you summed it up at the last, with your last sentence the best. If anybody thought that it will be a COVID-free Olympics, it's never going to be. But the point is the robust system of trace, track, treat that is in place. I mean, when did this fellow get detected? He didn't get detected at the airport. He got detected at the entry of the Games Village when another set of tests were conducted. That's what it is. But my point is, unless cases or a cluster evolves in a village after people enter and, in 7 days, basically, if the bubble is porous, then it's a problem. But when you enter Japan, there will be one of these stray cases because, look, it is not, travel cannot be 100% secure. I mean, am I not nervous when I travel on Monday? I am. I mean, I'm twice vaccinated. I've tested myself the last 3 days, every day, including day before yesterday, and today I get tested again. So I'm going to carry 3 negative reports. But even then, there is that 1% chance. What the organizers will have to do is they will have to put this robust system, which is there. For Indians, for example, we have to test ourselves 8 days every day. So it's day 0 is arrival day. Then 7 days you've got to test yourself every single day. Now, if that is the system in place, you will eliminate infections with a 3-day quarantine also in place. So these things will happen, and at the same time, it shows how difficult it is. But I'm not alarmed because every event that has happened since the start of the pandemic in any part of the world, there will be cases. As long as you are vigilant, you should be able to go ahead.
Oh, absolutely. Very well said. Thanks, Boria, for joining us with the details right there in that perspective as well. A top ICMR scientist has sounded off alarm over the third COVID wave. Dr. Samiran Panda warned that India could witness almost 1 lakh cases per day with the onset of a potential third wave in August. Dr. Panda added that if the virus further mutates, it could lead to more transmissibility, in effect worsening the situation. Low vaccination rates and easing restrictions could be the prime reasons for a third wave, as per the mathematical models done by ICMR and School of Public Health, Imperial College London. The doctor warned that avoiding mass gatherings and wearing masks is vital to stop the spread of the virus. Let's now also listen to ICMR scientist Samiran Panda, who said the possible third wave of the deadly coronavirus is inevitable. Take a look.
There is a possibility of third wave if it happens early. The earliest time when it could happen is August and near end August, I would say. And then the wave of it, the peak of it, would not be as high as India witnessed during the second wave.
The Sabrimala temple reopens for first time since second COVID wave infection. The Ayyappa Shrine Committee has laid down rules for devotees who will be attending the evening prayers. To avoid crowding, only 5,000 devotees are going to be allowed over a 5-day period, through which virtual queue system. Devotees are going to be allowed to trek uphill only from morning. A COVID negative certificate or complete vaccination is mandatory for the entry. The Kerala government has come under fire over this particular decision. This at a time when COVID cases are continuously increasing in the state of Sabrimala, state of Kerala, I beg your pardon.
2 ഡോസ് വാക്സിനേഷൻ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ 72 മണിക്കൂറിനുള്ളിൽ എടുത്ത RT-PCR നെഗറ്റീവ് സർട്ടിഫിക്കറ്റ് ഉള്ള ആളുകളെയാണ് ഇത്തവണ ശബരിമലയിൽ മാസപൂജയ്ക്ക് പ്രവേശിക്കാൻ അനുവദിക്കുക. പരമാവധി 5000 ആളുകളെ വെർച്വൽ ക്യൂ സംവിധാനം വഴി പ്രവേശിപ്പിക്കാനാണ് ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത്.
We are expecting the Sabarimala will open for the people, those who are fasting for 41 days or 15 days. By luck, with the God grace, is open. Actually, we have maximum limitation is there. 5,000 people only is allowed to enter, and they are given the time schedule 1 hour 6 to 7. We can take the slot in the virtual queue app.
5,000 is the maximum number of devotees who can come or who can register through the virtual queue system. Now, the virtual queue is actually a queue management or a crowd management system operated by the Kerala police to ensure that there is no overcrowding at any given point of time. So, the total number of devotees who are coming to the temple in a single day will be split across multiple time zones or multiple time slots at which these devotees can come, start their trek uphill to Sabarimala and offer prayers. This is how the puja and other first day of Sabarimala's temple reopening for devotees looks like. We do not really see too much of a crowd except for this small gathering which we see behind me. Also remember, even though the Kerala has been going through a severe COVID crisis, we could see a lot of devotees who are coming from other states, neighboring states including Tamil Nadu, Karnataka and Telangana. With camera person Tinku Rajshekharan, Gopikrishnan, Thiruvananthapuram for India Today.
The IMA expressed concern on Monday over governments and people being complacent in engaging in mass gatherings without following COVID protocols. However, political compulsions may invite and make the third wave to be more savage than as planned. Here's the news report coming in.
Under fire for being allowed to take place. The annual Kawad Yatra has become a big COVID test for Yogi Adityanath's Uttar Pradesh. After strong words by the Supreme Court, the religious yatra will gauge the commitment of poll-bound states to COVID safety. But then who has allowed this? Hundreds of devotees participating in the annual religious procession of one of the most important dargahs of Hyderabad. Huge crowds swarming around old Hyderabad's Charminar area, and not for the first time. And what about the fact that Kerala's Chief Minister has decided to relax lockdown norms to facilitate Eid shoppers next week? This in a state that's seeing a sharp rise in COVID-19 numbers, leading into the expected third wave. Or Kerala's famous hill shrine of Sabarimala, which opens today to a maximum 5,000 devotees over a 5-day period. The temple's managers have committed to strict COVID checking norms. But at a time when religious congregations of any kind are being prohibited, why is this being allowed? These religion-based crowds fly not only in the face of the spirit of the Supreme Court's concerns pointed at the Kawad Yatra, but also the Indian Medical Association's stern appeal and warning that such crowds could accelerate and worsen the third wave.
We are leaving it to the decision of the government to take appropriate decision on that, but it is our duty to caution the government and appeal to the government that at this moment any mass gathering at any pretext is going to be a disastrous effect for our country.
The selective actions are plain to see even across state borders. While Telangana has helplessly watched religious crowds break COVID advisories and norms, across the border in Andhra Pradesh, the Jagan Reddy government has issued precautionary guidelines for the Bakrid, ordering that prayers will not be performed in Eidgahs or at open places, but only in mosques with 50% occupancy and social distancing norms followed. In a vibrant country like India, religious fervour and tradition has been a visible victim of the pandemic. But could political compulsions invite the third wave to be more savage than planned? Bureau Report, India Today.
Threat of a possible third wave, many people are still violating COVID protocols. The visuals on your screens are from Bihar's Hajipur, where people can be seen flouting COVID norms during a wedding celebrations. No social distancing can be seen. COVIDites are not even wearing masks. The wedding organizers are also have employed women dancers to regale the guests, who can be seen assembled together without maintaining 6 feet distance from each other. Shockingly, people can also be seen carrying firearms. These COVIDites not only put their own lives in peril, they often prove to be potential super spreaders. As India fights COVID, let's take a look at the top 5 worst impacted states at the moment in India, with the daily cases right there. We are beginning with Kerala. The worst amount of cases, 13,750, followed by Maharashtra at 7,761, and these three are pretty much identical. So there is Andhra Pradesh at 2,345, followed by Tamil Nadu with 2,312 and Odisha at 2,017. These are the worst 5 states as far as the COVID numbers in India are concerned at the moment.